everyone, I'm Gianni, and tonight I'm going to be talking to you about why the United States needs to lift the economic embargo in Cuba. So some history. Cuba is an island 90 miles off the coast of Florida, and what the Cuban or economic embargo is, it's economic sanctions against Cuba, and it restricts travel and commerce for all people and companies in the U.S. What this policy also has done is in 1992 and 1996, there was 2 acts included to the economic embargo, and those are the Cuban Democracy Act and the Helms-Burton Act, and that superseded and continued the no trade in Cuba, as well as hindering U.S. currency in Cuba, and it does not allow U.S. citizens or Cuban Americans to send money back to Cuba without being persecuted. What the U.S. State Department did in 1982 was they put Cuba on the state sponsors of terrorism list, and that was because of their connections with communist country, the Soviet Union. So what the current policy does is it harms economic growth, access to technology and health, as well as democracy in Cuba. When it comes to health, the American Association of World Health reported that the doctors in Cuba have less than 50% of the drugs of the world market, and that causes food shortages and a drop in caloric intake. They also noted that the U.S. embargo has caused a significant rise in suffering and even deaths in Cuba for the human population. When it comes to economics, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce stated that the U.S. economy could has a loss of $4.84 billion in agricultural exports and other related economic output. When it comes to the Cuban government, they have a loss of $6.85 million annually because of the embargo. There's also a report from the U.S. State Department that stated in 1982 that the U.S. embargo has increased transportation costs. So one of the reasons why the embargo was super enforced was that the goal was to force Cuba into adopting a representative democracy, but that had yet it has yet to happen because of Fidel Castro's presidency, which ended in 2008. So currently, President Obama, he has been supporting the lift of the U.S. The Cuban economic embargo. He has made attempts to ease the tensions in 2009 and 2011, and because of his continuous efforts, Alan Gross was freed, who was held there in prison for 5 years, and so what the next step would be is for Congress to vote on lifting the policy on June 30th, 2015, which has a voting day that ends at 6:30, and they have until January 2nd, 2016 when the Congress term ends. Former Republican Illinois governor had stated, or George Ryan had stated, "I think we ought to treat Cuba like we do any other country in the world. Our biggest commodity is democracy, and we ought to be spreading it in any place that we can. And this would be a great country for free trade." If the policy was if the embargo was lifted, according to Texas A&M University, they calculated in a study that 6,000 jobs for Americans would be created, and the American farmers will feel a difference in about 2 to 3 years.
We'll hold our applause to the end of the whole debate. Thank you.